India's journey from end deal to trade deal. Rising India in the global south has faced many wars, proxy wars, incursions, interventions, and territorial expansionism. Two amongst many potent threats facing India have been China and Pakistan. Since 2020 alone, India has been witness to Doklam standoff, Pahalgam terror attack, China building roads in Arunachal Pradesh to Pak-sponsored terrorism. In the last one decade, it has become evident who is our friend and who have been our foes. Public memory is very short-lived, and India's opposition takes full advantage of the same. Back in 2008, when Congress-led UPA signed the Indo-US nuclear deal, it had already sold India to United States. The deal was not in accordance with India's vested interests. In fact, it was contrary to India's rising nuclear capacity. The major takeaways of the deal signed between Dr. Manmohan Singh and Bush never saw the light of the day. Two or three among them were setup of nuclear reactors by the US in India. The deal was signed in haste, with many in the UPA regime themselves opposing the deal. However, until March 2026, no nuclear reactor has been set up in India by the United States. In fact, most of the nuclear reactors have been indigenously set up in India by companies like L&T. While on the other hand, the terms and conditions of the end deal including setting up of nuclear reactors by the US in India. This could not have been practically possible as setting up of reactors back then usually took up 20 years. The civil nuclear deal, which was signed promising greater cooperation and exchange of nuclear technology between US and India, never really happened. But contrary to the above, it was actually after 17 long years, that is in March 2025, that the US Department of Energy officially allowed a company named Holtec International to build nuclear reactors in India. What a waste of time, money, and energy. The nuclear deal also sabotaged India's security and put its territorial integrity at risk. A major point on which India had to agree upon was the non-usage of nuclear energy for military purposes. And if India uses the nuclear technology for any military purpose, then US sanctions would follow. That was not the first time when the US had threatened us with sanctions or trade embargoes, as before that, when India conducted its nuclear tests twice in Pokhran, US imposed sanctions on us. India was boycotted. India was boycotted and was forced to sign NPT, that is the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Thankfully, India never ratified or signed it, given the Kargil war to be followed with Pakistan in 1999. Why didn't India reap the benefits of NDL for such a long time? Another reason behind this was due to the shortage of uranium and thorium reserves. When NDL was signed, no one considered the fact that from where would the uranium come? Uranium is a prerequisite. India does have uranium reserves but lacks the technology which would help in its extraction. Nothing of this sort was kept in mind back then. Contrasting it to the Indo-US nuclear deal, a civil nuclear cooperation agreement was signed between India and Australia in 2014. In the years to follow, unlike the end deal, India received its first shipment of Australian uranium. Australia showed trust in India despite India being a non-signatory to NPT. In addition to this, India also signed a deal with Canada and received uranium shipment from it. India is set to sign another 10-year uranium supply deal with Canada soon. At present, times have significantly changed. India is not the one which would bow down in front of United States or European Union. India signed a trade deal with the both on its own terms and conditions. Subsequently, tariffs were lowered, which shall ensure more Indian exports to the United States. In addition to this, a slash in tariffs by India would ensure that Indians could buy American goods, consumer goods at a lesser price. Amidst the trade war, this has been a great takeaway for India as US has not reduced tariffs vis-a-vis other countries such as China. Also, this has shut the mouths of those who were accusing India of being a partner in crime with Russia, as India has agreed to stop buying Russian oil in the future. United States and Venezuela have the largest reserves of crude oil. With this trade deal, India will have access to varied sources of crude oil. Post the signing of the deal, Kremlin spokesperson also said that this trade deal will not affect India Russia ties, as India is free to buy oil from anywhere and not rely on it as a sole partner. His statement has come as a winner. This is how deals are signed without patronizing the other. India US trade marks a paradigm shift in the realm of international politics. India has come a long way since 2008 and is now reshaping the world order on its own terms.